If you were under a rock all weekend, maybe offline, maybe you missed it, Grand Theft Auto 6 did in fact leak a whole bunch of footage from it, a whole bunch of information, and now we are dealing with the fallout. Hello everyone, it's me, Greg Miller from Kinda Funny Games, and if you didn't know, Insomniac was held ransom by some cyber hackers, the types, you know what I mean, saying that they wanted $2 million so they'd release a whole bunch of Insomniac files, and they did that. Insomniac did not give them the money. The hackers released the files, and now the internet is in flames as all sorts of information about Wolverine, Insomniac, personal data of the developers, and so much more is floating around. This has led to a giant conversation about how this should be handled in reporting video game news. I wanted to come to you and talk to you about how we'll approach it on Kinda Funny Games Daily today. Today, we will not go into the details of this leak. We will instead talk about the human component. All the developers at Insomniac who just had years and years of work published when it was not ready to be seen, information published when it was not ready to be seen, contracts published when they were not ready to be talked about, and of course, their own personal information shared against their will. This is an invasion of their privacy, done in one of the most malicious ways possible.
Bruh, bruh, bruh.
Both Redfall and Forza Motorsport had measurable problems. This is not a matter of opinion, right? They had measurable problems, missing features, games that were just clearly not ready for launch.
What is this? Can I not cross this way? Okay. What's happening? Oh, I have to go up. Am I tripping? Miles, babes, just run up the... I'm not...
I don't think you can describe that as at quality.
You guys got the wrong flag in Miles' apartment. That is not the Puerto Rican flag. That's Cuba. They're not Cuban. LOL.
Would you believe me if I told you that in the year 2023 that a gaming journalist would be a hypocrite? Oh wait, that sounds very much plausible because of course they are. Obviously, we all know how corrupt the games journalist industry is. This has been widely known since just about 2013. Happy 10-year anniversary to Gamergate. But arguably what's happening here is even worse, mostly because of the scale and scope of what's happening. For those that have been led astray by games journalists, I'll tell you the truth. Insomniac has been leaked. A playable build of Wolverine has been leaked. We are getting Spider-Man 2 DLC featuring Carnage and Spider-Verse elements. The Wolverine game is the first part of an X-Men trilogy. Spider-Man 3 is going to happen, and another Ratchet & Clank game is going to happen in 2029. Now that I've told you all the contents that Greg Miller refused to say, tell me what you think in the comment section down below. Let's just say I am very interested to know your guys' opinions because I have the feeling that it just might be a little bit polarized. But let's compare the games journalist controversy of 2013 compared to Kinda Funny Games sweeping for Insomniac in 2023. In 2013, it was exchanging sexual favors for a positive review of an indie game. But now just about every single games journalist is shilling for Sony because they can. Tell me how a PlayStation Portal, not a portable, a Portal, is reviewed higher than a Nintendo Switch or a Steam Deck. Now, I would like to particularly focus on Greg Miller of Kinda Funny Games. If you don't know what Kinda Funny Games is, well, the crew used to work at IGN, but for some reason there was a falling out there, so they made their own thing. This tends to happen a lot in the games industry, and especially in the journalist space, it doesn't tend to be any better than the main head corporation that they decide to depart from. Yes, obviously IGN is all bad, but Kinda Funny Games, you will not believe what happened. Greg Miller decided to not report on the contents of the Insomniac PlayStation leaks.
I wanted to come to you and talk to you about how we'll approach it on Kinda Funny Games Daily today. Today, we will not go into the details of this leak. We will instead talk about the human component. All the developers at Insomniac who just had years and years of work published when it was not ready to be seen, information published when it was not ready to be seen, contracts published when they were not ready to be talked about, and of course, their own personal information shared against their will. This is an invasion of their privacy, done in one of the most malicious ways possible. So today on Games Daily, we will focus on the human element of this. Of course, going forward in the years to come, there will be references to this information because it is out there in the public sphere, but we don't think it's newsworthy today when so many people, actual human beings, are in a lot of pain. So that's how we're going to do it today on Games Daily. So let's start the show.
He decides to take the moral stand that he will not say what was in the leaks because it was personal and it had personal information and he didn't want to dox employees. What he failed to mention is that, of course, he had a cameo in Insomniac's most recent game, Spider-Man 2.
Let's do this one last time. My name's Greg Miller, and I had a dream to review video games. For 17 years, I've been the one and only Buffalo Wing loving man to do it at both IGN and Kinda Funny. I'm pretty sure you know the rest. I reviewed a bunch of video games, won a game award, fell in love, podcasted about PlayStation, and then podcasted about PlayStation again and again and again and again, and I did this. That was the birth of Shirtless Spider-Man. From there, he became a Twitter sensation, an anime introduction, a page in the Spider-Verse art book, but most importantly, snuck his way into Marvel's Spider-Man on PS4 because Insomniac thought the bit was so funny. So imagine my honor that after Kinda Funny introduced Shirtless Miles Morales, Insomniac thought it was so endearing they put both the Spider Bros in Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Once you've unlocked the photo ops from Robbie Robertson, swing over to the Upper East Side. You'll eventually find the Kinda fanboys posing for the camera, just like Bless and I have in the past. So snap pics with us and send them our way on social media.
Now, this is egregious to the point where he should probably be kicked out of his own company, but it gets worse. To where now he has the moral fortitude to not report on leaks and also police the behavior of other games journalists who are reporting the leaks. Greg Miller did not have the same sort of conviction when it came to the leaks that came out of Capcom, that came out of Grand Theft Auto, or the leaked court documents that came out of Microsoft when purchasing Activision Blizzard. Oh wow, a games journalist is biased towards PlayStation and against Xbox? Never heard of that one. I used to think that the Xbox tax was full of crap, but after seeing how these games journalists fillet Sony over the PlayStation Portal and over leaks, yeah, I think I'm gonna need to rethink my stance. However, it is very amusing to see how during the Game Awards this year, Xbox Studios took home more Game Awards than PlayStation Studios. But to be fair, most of those Game Awards that they took home were purely just diversity inclusion stuff. And if you're still questioning just how in bed Greg Miller is with Insomniac, just take a look at this tweet. The Insomniac leak is an invasion of privacy done on a massive scale. That's why today we will not be reporting on the details of this leak. Instead, we'll discuss how this affects the people working on your favorite games. Now, everybody was dragging him the quote tweets for the most part, besides obvious paid industry shills. But there is one quote tweet that caught my eye. It's from Harrison Ehlers. This man in the quote tweet says, "I can't explain how much this sentiment means to our team." Yes, this man in the quote tweets works for Insomniac Games. He works for a major company, and yet I have more clout than him on Twitter. Obviously, this isn't against him personally. Of course, he works at Insomniac. Of course, he's going to take the side of Greg Miller. But this just goes to show that Greg Miller's cozying up to Sony PlayStation, as well as Insomniac and other PlayStation developers, is working. It's a complete atrocity that Greg Miller can just determine that this massive leak that is announcing multiple games is just not newsworthy in his opinion. I'm about to be more journalistic than Greg Miller himself. There is going to be Spider-Man 2 DLC. DLC Pack 1 will feature Carnage. DLC Pack 2 will feature some more Spider-Verse content. And yes, Spider-Man 3 is going to happen. There's also a lot of financial stuff, but I don't want to bog down this video. That's just the exciting stuff for you. Also, a multiplayer Spider-Man game did get canceled, which that would have been the one justification to include Miles and every other multiverse Spider-Man into the game. To have a Gotham Knights, but potentially, just maybe, be good. It seems like PlayStation's multiplayer outings just never seem to work out. First, The Last of Us 2 factions, now Spider-Man multiplayer. PlayStation just doesn't have multiplayer games. In fact, I don't think they have a game at all. Cue the music!
One game, I don't know why. I bought a PS5 with no games to buy.
Hurries to dig. Project Octopath Traveler. Embark on an adventure all your own.
It looks cool. Why is that
What
the
you
name?
just saw is the latest game in the Atlas series, Shin Megami Tensei, which celebrates its 25th anniversary this year. Development has only just begun, but they were kind enough to prepare this video for us today. And the other title is a brand new RPG from Square Enix.